Under castle gates you lords prepare a feast of fates. Lord Eric with his merry cheer, and Darrell whose tales draw near. Gather round all ye from far and wide, for a night where joy shall not hide.
Come one, come all to the grandest ball under starlit heavens in the great Lord's hall. With goblets raised and spirits high, we'll dance and sing till the morning light. Eric and Darrell, the grandest ball. Eric and Darrell in the great Lord's hall. With goblets raised and spirits high, we'll dance and sing till the morning night. Morning night, morning night. Dance and sing till the morning night.
Eric and Darrell, the grandest ball. Eric and Darrell in the great Lord's hall. With goblets raised and spirits high, we'll dance and sing till the morning night.
We love Eric and Darrell. chat, where comments fly. A toast to the viewers, they raise their drinks high.
Yeah!
Did you see the balloons?
I don't know where that came from.
Oh, I do.
Oh.
Hi, and welcome to Eric and Darrell Live.
Hey.
This is going to be a super lo-fi edition because we have a janky-ass setup. Hopefully you can hear us. But, you know, that's what happens in the medieval times, right?
Yeah, it's a medieval stream, medieval tech. You know.
We did the best we could with, like, you know, wood and some metal flakes.
Yeah,
and,
some sawdust and,
Yeah.
and some bugs.
let's see.
Rubbed it all together.
I have to flip over to the chat here. I can't hear you asking if you can hear us.
Oh no, really? Oh no, you can hear us, right? Yeah. You can.
Well, obviously they can hear us because they heard that we were asking.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Somebody
well,
was
good.
being a smarty pants.
Well, here we are. Oh boy.
So what is all this nonsense? What is this what is all of this about? Why are we dressed like this? What's with the theme?
Well, good Lord Hazelrig. Cheers to another Georgia Renaissance Festival.
This is the mug from this year. I just bought one. That's
This is
my
one
last
from
year's
last year
mug.
But man, yeah, it was cool. Yeah, good times. Too bad Larry wasn't here. He did say he was going to come this year, but you know, he's always got
Next year.
crazy things happening in the courtroom.
We'll drag him kicking and screaming. Well, at least we drug our one friend kicking and screaming into the Georgia Renaissance Festival. Costume and all. He was not expecting that.
Yeah.
Our friend Caleb and his lovely sidekick Sally came along on the journey.
Yeah.
And
Should we say what he was dressed up as?
yeah, he was dressed as a
mighty dragon.
dragon. Well, I wouldn't call it mighty, really.
So it was like a green onesie. So he was a dragon hanging out with me. My wife was an assassin. I'm kind of an assassin. I think I kind of piecemealed last year's with this year's.
Yeah.
So anyway, you're a hunter or you're a ranger.
Yeah.
And then Caleb's wife was also an assassin, and then you had the dragon.
And then
your wife.
And then
was,
Elizabeth as the fair maid.
right. But yeah. The only thing we were lacking was like a chain or something that we could have the dragon on a
dragon
leash
around
or
with,
something
yeah.
on a chain or something. But anyway, let's see. We got the chat room down here, so when I'm looking down here, actually, you have it up here now.
It's right there.
So audio is fine. Okay, I'm looking back here. Hello from Florida.
Hello, Florida.
Jackson.
Jackson McDaniel.
But yeah, I had a good time.
Yeah.
Had a good time. Had some meat on a stick.
Oh, the best thing in the whole world is the pork chop on a stick.
Yeah, it's just a pork chop. It's like a flat.
It's like what you would normally eat on a table
Yeah.
with a fork and knife, but it's like,
Yeah.
and then you just eat it like a lollipop.
Yeah, he said, lick it. That was like the only thing that attracted Larry to going. He was like,
Meat
you know,
on a
stick?
stick?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, there's bagpipes
There's-
too, and it's like, oh,
There's something for
Lost a
everybody.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
lost some points with the bagpipes, but there's some metal-looking dudes with bagpipes, though. Man, I forget the name of the band, but if you didn't know they were all bagpiped up, you'd be like, oh man, it was like death metal band. What do they play? But it's like metal. It's like, I don't know what it is really. It's medieval, but it's metal too. I don't know. It's pretty awesome. We saw birds of prey too. We saw a giant condor, falcons, and all kinds of birds. And yeah, good
That's my
times.
favorite show every year. I like the birds.
The birds.
The birds.
The birds. But yeah, check this place out. So I'm at Darrell's house.
This is my house. We're in
And-
the Oak Room.
That's why we have kind of a lo-fi setup here. We're just kind of, not in our normal setup, but we're in the excellent Oak Room that just feels very like Renaissance-ial.
Renaissance-ial. Tudor-esque.
Tudor.
Yeah. So anybody out there go to Renfests? Do you have them where you are, wherever you are? Yeah, I've actually, the first year I went to this one was in 1997. And I have a mug from that year.
The year Fallout came out.
The year Fallout came out. Oh, nice segue.
We were talking about Fallout.
Yeah. Has anyone been watching that show? I think we finished it in like 2 days. I think we just watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
And now I've been seeing nothing but like articles and people talking about the pros and cons of the binge versus the weekly dole out.
Yeah.
Some people are like, no, we should all go back to that because it makes people long for the next episode and it extends their gratification and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It gives you more time to sit on ideas and think about things before you're introduced with the next story. So I could see that, but in this day and age, it's all released all at once. So just like the old days, right? If you didn't watch Monday night's episode of, I don't know, The Office, let's say. I was going to go 80s sitcom, but nobody really cared about talking about what happened last night on, Family Ties. But like The Office or something, right? The Office would come out every week, and then it's like everybody's, talking about it, and and if you weren't a part of that live experience, right? Then you missed out. Now all these conversations don't include you, all that kind of stuff, right? So it's kind of a societal thing, right? It's kind of, Anyway, but nowadays, if they put out 10 episodes in one day, then if you don't watch those 10 episodes in one day, the next day, you're out of the conversation.
Oh, I see what you're
See?
saying. Yeah,
So it's just like...
Spoilers.
Yeah, it's just like it's like times 10 now. It's like... I remember Wednesday came out. And everybody was talking about Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I need to hurry up and binge because I don't want to miss out on the conversation. So, yeah, that's the unfortunate, side effect, I think, because I don't want to binge. I don't want to cram it down my throat. I want to savor it. But I kind of have to, cram it down my throat because I want to be in.
I don't know,
it,
but but when something's really good and you just have that you're just jonesing.
Yeah.
That one episode ended and you're like, oh God, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, we can watch it.
Yeah.
We can find out.
Yeah.
That's very satisfying.
Like Lost. Remember, Lost came out. That had crazy cliffhangers.
Yeah.
And back then, if you could binge it, would it be the same? Because now I have memories of for months just watching episode every Friday night or whatever it was.
It's funny because I started off binging Lost because
you got it after.
I came into it late. I think I came
yeah.
into it when season 3 was out. So I purchased the first 2 seasons on DVD. And so I was just blowing through it.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I eventually caught up, and then I was stuck like everybody else, waiting another week.
And of course, now looking back, it was kind of a big waste of time because it was like,
God, it's the worst show ever.
But anyway,
It
that's
makes
another.
me so angry. Yeah, let's not talk
That's
about
another
Lost.
conversation. But anyway, reel back, rewind to.
Hello,
Fallout.
Mark Murr from Argentina. I hope I said that right.
But yeah, Fallout. So
Yes, Fallout.
Great series.
See, I never played the game. I was familiar with the game. I was familiar with the art. There's the guy with the big metal mask on. So, and then the bobblehead. I don't know, stuff like that, I guess, is just out in the zeitgeist, and you just come across it. So,
Yeah.
I was vaguely familiar that it was a post-apocalyptic, futuristic thing, and it had this kitschy, 50s kind of stylistic thing going on. anachronistic kind of thing. But I'd never played any of the. I'd never even like seen a screenshot or anything. I had no idea about the games.
Yeah.
So to me, this is just like a show.
Yeah. Which is cool that it was a standalone like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always been a fan. Played part 1 and 2, and 3. 3 was like the first like open world 3D. The first 2 were like top down turn-based strategies.
That's so weird. I'm gonna have to look that up
But-
to figure out exactly what that. I can't wrap that around. I mean, I know what you mean, like top-down isometric.
Yeah,
but I
it
can't
was
imagine
grid-based.
Fallout like that because
Yeah.
I've only seen screenshots of like the 3D world running around and
Yeah.
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 So I can't imagine that game in that style.
Yeah, and I don't think I really loved the old like the turn-based strategies, but anyway, yeah, after it went 3D and you have Fallout or New Vegas and you have all the other everything like that. It's great. I always loved it. War never changes. All the little memes well, not really memes, but just references and stuff always stuck with me throughout all the years. I did a Fallout song, kind of themed about Fallout. And I gave the link to you, and you're like, you'd never even seen it. I was like, really? It's like a song. It's like 5 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, yeah, great series. Loved it. Violator was asking, what movie or what game would we want to see turned into a movie?
It's funny you should mention
We
that.
just
We were
talked about it
just
today.
talking about
Yeah,
that
at the Ren
at the
Fair.
Ren Fair.
Yeah.
Because
we were trying out the hats.
Because I put on that hat and it
Yeah.
was suddenly like, oh, King's Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny that you brought up Space Quest because I don't think we ever had like had a conversation about turning Space Quest into a movie.
No, not really.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about for.
Yeah, I mean, I
decades.
think we've just kind of been thinking about here and there.
Yeah.
And you'd mentioned it many times, so. But Space Quest, right? 1986.
Like any
or
of the
7,
Sierra
whatever.
games, I would like to like. I would like us like I wouldn't want somebody else to do it. I would like us to have a crack at bringing those to the screen.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Sierra games, old Sierra games.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the great thing about those is that, they're already story based, right? Mm-hmm. So it's,
Yeah, pretty
it's
easy
not
to
a big
adapt,
stretch, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just have to cast it correctly and make it good because Roger Wilco needs to be cast very carefully because
Yeah, and you know what? And we didn't really get to finish that conversation. Yeah, that is a very tricky casting situation because, of course, he has to be heroic,
has to be heroic,
but
you
he can't be that guy. Because he's not. He's kind of a loser, right? He's like this.
He's kind of a bumbling dude. He's
bumbling
kind of
idiot.
He's kind of dumb, but he's he's sometimes arrogant, but not really over the top. Like there's so many. His character's interesting for being such a cheesy little, having 6 frames of animation when he walks. But I feel like his personality or his character traits can go pretty deep. Like we could find the formula that makes Roger Wilco and go, oh, we understand him now. Now we can cast that person, and nail that because there'll be millions of people, like that. I mean, if it can be marketed well enough, right?
Yeah.
There's already a big fan base, so people are already gonna expect to see like a good Roger Wilco, but.
Ryan Gosling as Roger.
Who was the hero guy off of The Boys? Remember the blonde guy? Like he's too arrogant. He's too
Yeah. Oh, the
and
guy
he's
who
too
played
forceful.
the Superman
Right.
Character.
Yeah.
God, but that character is so brilliant.
He is really awesome, but not quite. But
just like sickening. Like you just. He's so vile.
Yeah.
I think that's the
I
that's
know.
a perfect word for it. He's vile.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's supposed to be everything wholesome and grand and perfect and
Which is not Roger Wilco, because if Roger Wilco saw something happen or saw somebody explode, he'd be like, "Oh my God!" Right? You know. But this guy would be like laughing. You know, he'd be like,
yeah. I have not seen the Mario.
"Oh, the Mario move's great."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people saying, and I know you'd seen it.
Yeah.
And it was,
Jack Black doing Bowser.
and who did Mario?
Oh shoot, I forgot.
It was Chris Pratt. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So when that came out and people were talking about it, oh, Chris Pratt is going to play the voice of, or is going to play Mario. That's what I heard. Is going to play Mario.
Oh, before it came.
I was like, they're doing another live action Mario starring Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
I don't see how that works. I didn't realize it was animated.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense. I should probably see it.
I kind of want to rewatch the live action one with the sewer Goombas and all the nasty stuff, like with the freaking what's his
And
name?
Bob Hoskins is
Yeah, that's so weird. Yeah, with the freaking mustache. But that came out like around the time that the show Super Mario Brothers with the crappy rap song, you know, for the intro. Remember?
Yeah.
The Saturday morning. But yeah, good times. Super Mario Brothers. Where was the first only Illumination movie I'd ever watched? Oh yeah, it was by Illumination. Yeah, I meant to look into that company actually, because I wasn't familiar with Illumination.
He-Man Revelation. Was that the animation, the cartoon from like
That's the new one, right?
a year or two?
There's a new one after that one. Remember a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, the He-Man revived with Kevin Smith writing,
Yes.
and then a new one just popped.
Oh, and it's
Yeah.
not like a continuation of that one. It's like a whole new thing.
I don't know actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I haven't seen the new one or the old one. But you watched it and you didn't really like it.
No, I watched it a little. No, we watched the whole thing. Watched the whole thing. And I guess I don't know. I watched the whole thing, so it kept my attention, right? But
Yeah.
it wasn't perfect. It wasn't. And again, I'm no huge like He-Man fan now.
Right.
Now,
Right.
I was back as a kid.
Yeah.
Though as a kid, I didn't like the animated series.
Oh, really?
Because when I first got He-Man, I bought into He-Man really early on. And the first incarnation, when the toys first came out, He-Man was literally just like a wandering barbarian. And it was all gritty and stuff, you know, and like there's Castle Grayskull, this evil castle, and Skeletor, the evil guy, and they were in like conflict, blah, blah, blah. And then they came up with this whole like, you know, wimpy Prince Adam and his annoying
Oh yeah, and Orko.
Orko.
I was
and,
like, what?
And then,
Yeah.
God, all that stuff, like,
They had to appease to all these different demographics or something. Like it was a mess. Yeah,
it was a mess.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But the new ones seem like they're more like cool, more hardcore, right?
They were, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess that's why it was more interesting to me.
But what would you think about like a rated R He-Man, where they could just go over the top?
Well, wasn't the movie from the 80s
Dolph Lundgren
Dolph Lundgren
naked in the sewers?
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, that was the Punisher. He was naked in the sewers. Like, dude, no, Frank Castle doesn't do that.
And he's got his black hair, and he's all oiled down
Yeah.
and naked.
Like,
Why
what the
is he
hell?
naked?
That was weird. But yeah, I guess maybe they did do that, but I think it was just PG-13. But they didn't go over the top. But it was gritty and dark, though.
Yeah.
Way darker than it should have been, really, probably.
Now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is another thing that started off gritty and raw and hard.
Yeah.
And then turned into this lighthearted kids thing.
Right. Yeah, April O'Neil and all that. Yeah, I should really check out the new He-Man. I keep thinking about it, and I'm like, why haven't I seen it? Why haven't I even tried it?
Yeah.
I should try it. He-Mania. He-Mania, more gritty and revolution. Oh, okay. Ah, all right. Well, we'll check that out. Um, on other news, I was just telling Darrell about a episode of Family Ties I'm currently watching. It is blowing my mind. I have to get it out there. So, as you know, I'm always rewatching old 80s sitcoms, but I don't binge them. I just, when I'm eating lunch or I have some time, I'll continue my rewatch of an old series. And anyway, until I get to the end of it, and then I choose something other, like Alf. Like I'm just gonna start Alf from episode 1, right? And just as a 47-year-old man, I want to see what it's like to get this, ingest this content as a grown man, right? As opposed to a 12-year-old, right? So it's kind of fun in that way. Anyway. So I'm currently on I think it's like season 3 of Family Ties. I want to say season 3, episode 1, but it's a weird episode. I do not remember this at all when I was a kid, and I loved this show. So first off, this episode is 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's over 1 hour and 20 minutes. So technically, it's a feature film.
Yeah, you were telling me about this, and it takes place in Oxford?
Yes.
England?
Yes, England. So the Keatons have to go to England because Alex P. Keaton has been accepted into Oxford. And they're like, well, I guess it's a good time to have a nice family trip then. We're all going, so everybody goes. And they get on this plane, and all of a sudden it's like, dun, dun, dun. It starts zooming in on these creepy guys in the background. I'm like, oh, here we go. Here's the
80s cheese.
Yeah, here's the B plot. And the B plot is like these two guys with hats and looking obviously suspicious on this plane. I mean, it's like, okay. They have some microfilm, and they have to hide it somewhere because they've been busted or something. I don't know. They're gonna get arrested, and they put the microfilm into this hairbrush that has a secret compartment. They put it in there, and then they throw it into Elise's purse. Elise Keaton, the mom. And so she's unknowingly carrying this microfilm of some importance. And hey, Liz, my sister's in there. She's like, I do not remember this. I know, this is weird. It's like almost like a new timeline has happened.
Okay, let me interrupt you in the middle of this and start asking some questions.
Okay.
Did the bad guys... So this is at the airport, right?
We're already on the plane at this point. And when the
they're on the plane.
The hairbrush hijinks happens. It's on the plane.
On the plane.
Yeah.
So they're flying to the UK.
Mm-hmm.
The bad guys are on the plane.
Yeah.
And they put this hairbrush. Why?
So
why didn't they just keep it and deliver it to where it needed to go?
Well, what's weird about it, I know, what's weird about it is like they had the sense that they were going to get busted once they landed. And I was like, what? So when they land, they get busted. Sorry, spoilers. But
in case you're gonna watch this ancient episode
right?
of Family Ties.
Yeah. So when they land, the Keatons are like, well, cool, we're here, awesome. And then meanwhile in the background, these two guys are
Where's the microfilm?
Yeah, they're like running. They're running through the airport and stuff. They're being chased by cops and stuff, and then they get busted and handcuffs and like, oh. And I was like, well, good thing they put the hairbrush. Good thing that happened. But how'd they know? I don't know. I don't know. The writer.
I mean, if they
help.
thought that they were gonna get busted, why would they get on the plane at all?
I don't know. So stupid.
See, that's what I was thinking, that they put the hairbrush in her bag, at the airport before they got on the plane, because maybe they were like, well, we'll save on some airfare if we sneak this, hairbrush into this random person's, and then we'll tell the people on the other end. But if they're already on the plane,
yeah. So that
there's
part,
a lot of not making sense.
Yeah, that part doesn't really make sense, but that's how I saw it. That's how it went down. Anyway, and honestly, I think I'm only like 30 minutes or 40 minutes into the episode, so I didn't want to sit there and watch the entire feature, but exciting as it is. But what's really
that's right.
awkward,
You've only completed part 1.
Yeah, so I'm only a little into it, but but apparently, well, okay, so there's no laugh track, and it's so weird.
Oh, that's right.
It's one of the few. There's a couple other non-laugh track episodes of the series, but this one is completely weird because, Alex P. Keaton will drop a banger, right? He'll drop a line. It's so funny, and it's like no one laughs. And he even pauses. He pauses for the audience to laugh, but there is no laughter. And I'm like, ooh,
he's all like,
that one bombed.
Winking at the camera.
Yeah. And then, the dad will
like,
drop an awesome joke. And it's like, yeah, crickets. It's an awkward episode.
Okay. Hold on just one second. Joseph Mole, go.
Wait, what happened? Oh, I've got one question. Oh, okay, I have one question.
Joseph Mole has a question. Let's hear it. What you got? What you got for us?
What you got? Oh, thanks, Belle. We like our capes. They're pretty.
I'm in.
Pretty
You're
slow.
in. Go. Give us a. Give us your best shot. What you got?
Drum roll. So I noticed that no one is saying anything about this episode. No one's seen this episode. Well, let me know.
Where are you watching it? Is it like on? Oh,
it's one of those. I'm borrowing it from the internet. It's kind of a like
it's
a library.
on loan.
I'm checking it out. Yeah.
It's on loan.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jackson has seen it.
Oh, Jackson McDaniel has seen it.
I've seen it.
TJ has.
Okay. Well, cool. So I'm not in some weird alternate universe by myself. I'm tripping out. What am I watching? Why can't I remember this? Why does this exist?
It must have been a very special episode.
Yes.
It's always going to be a dramatic, heartfelt. Some revelation is going to happen on a very special episode.
Yeah, a very special episode of Family Ties. Man, I hate it when they end the show with some dramatic thing and it's silent and then the credits roll and then there's no theme music. I'm like, oh man, that's some dramatic stuff.
So super poignant.
Yeah, it's like someone died. It's what's looking through photos.
This is your time to think about what we've just showed you.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm like, oh my god.
Stew it over.
It's like I want to flesh that out by watching another episode, but I'm like, I don't have time. Yeah. But that's what they did back in the day. Did we ever get our question though?
No.
Oh dang it.
He's just being silly. So anyways, the entire episode is on YouTube. Interesting.
Is it really?
Maybe I'll give it a little watchy poo.
So tell me, is it season 3 episode 1? Anybody look that up real quick? That's what I feel like it is. And if so, then that makes it easier for you guys to watch. But yeah, so we do have a Discord and a Facebook group. So if you watch this episode, feel free to, we'll chat about it. I'm serious.
Which I am never on because I'm just not a Discord person and it kind of drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But I noticed we were getting bombed the other day twice.
Yeah.
And by the time I got there, it was all because I can see what it's saying porn and blah blah blah, naked and blah blah, blah and all this crap.
Come get some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
By the time I got there, it was all gone. I'm like, oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
I just came here for the porn.
I totally zapped it. You're ready to hit that shady link that he was dropping. Really? Let's go.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, JBJ. There's our Discord.
There
right
it
there.
is.
Yeah, some guy came on there, and I just, quickly zapped him. I'm thinking there's some sort of exploit or something currently, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, it's really easy to spam stuff now." Before they patch it.
Yeah. But
So
what satisfaction do you get out of that?
I don't know. They'd probably be kids. That is the satisfaction, right? Just doing it, going, haha, look, I put messages all over all over your stuff.
Stupid and a waste of time. Anyway. Yeah, so now I'm curious about this episode of Family Ties.
Yeah. It's exciting stuff, man. If you think, like one episode, they had to film a feature. And at the time, Michael J. Fox was working on Back to the Future, Teen Wolf. He was doing all this stuff. He was like, he would get off the set and then he would go directly to Universal and start shooting stuff all the way till nighttime, and then he'd have 4 hours of sleep, wake up, do it all again, and then they're like springing it on him. Oh, hey, by the way, the next episode we're gonna do, it's an hour and 20 minutes, so it's a feature. And he's like, no. It's like you're just getting more
and it's
work
in a foreign country.
Yeah, and you have to travel. Man, crazy.
And Dressa Souza from Brazil. Hello, Brazil. One question. Okay.
Just one.
Yeah. Ask away.
Give it to us.
In the meantime, our latest release was a trailer for a short.
Yes. Yeah, the X-Men.
Yeah, X-Men. This is a project that I've just been thinking about for ages, and it's finally coming to fruition. I'm super excited. I feel like a kid again. I'm going back and doing a bunch of 3D stuff, and it's just I'm getting really engrossed in it. There were times in the past when I was working on this project where it kind of became overwhelming, but I feel like it's fun again.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. I'm really excited about it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really cool. It is a if you know anything about X-Men, it's from X-Men 141, which is Days of Future Past. It is a comic accurate version, meaning that I tried to be as true to what was on the page and bring it to life.
Oh yeah, Varlayer said it looked like 16 millimeter. It does.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was trying to go for that 80s trailer look, and I kept looking up a bunch of 80s trailers, and typically they would print. Maybe they printed trailers on 16 millimeter or something. I don't know, but all the trailers are much more grainy and rough looking than the actual film. So I was trying to emulate that.
That's true. Yeah, they're always dirty. My thought was always that they ran those reels so much.
Oh yeah.
That they just got dirty.
Right.
Because you don't run movies that much, but you run trailers and over so many times and.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then it's got the cheesy voiceover guy. Yeah. And he's all gravelly. He's perfect. He's perfect.
That was fun.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, AT Dungy. Is it Dungy or Dungy? Anyway, Family Ties Vacation, 1985.
Keaton goes on a family vacation to Europe where Alex wins a scholarship to Oxford University. Mallory finds romance, and Stephen and Elise get involved in espionage.
Mallory finds romance in Alex P. Keaton's roommate, Lord something or other. Some corny dude. And she's like, oh, he's so dreamy. But yeah, man. Can't wait to finish this awesome movie.
Yeah, so that's the trailer. There is going to be a short, which will come out probably end of summer, I'm guessing. There are a lot of visual effects that need to be finished.
Yeah. Oh, the Abyss trailer. It looks terrible. Then the movie looks like something from nowadays. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like,
oh, man.
I think no one ever remasters trailers either, right?
Right.
Every time you see a trailer, it's straight digitized from the film reel, Whereas a movie is remastered. It's taken. It's
Oh, they'll go back to the
redigitized,
negatives and reprint it.
Oh
and-
yeah, they'll do all that. But no one ever cares about a trailer. I mean, I'm just guessing, but
I found the trailer for Escape from New York, and that's kind of the model I used
yeah.
to make the trailer for the X-Men.
Yeah.
So, anywho,
Did y'all do a casting call for this? Oh yeah, you did casting. I mean, because you know, for the X-Men.
for X-Men, no, I didn't. I knew who I wanted for those
Right.
parts.
Yeah, so you just cast them directly.
I knew my friend Lynn Talley, who plays Kate. I knew she'd be. I mean, she's almost a dead ringer for the page. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
So she was perfect. And then my buddy Rob Pralgo, I thought would play a great Wolverine. And then I had a couple other friends who just kind of fell into the roles. I guess the one role that was brought to me was the guy who plays Big Alex, the punk with the mohawk.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a friend of my buddy Chris Burns, and he brought him in to the mix.
Oh yeah.
And he's freaking perfect.
Yeah, he's great.
Perfect.
Oh yeah.
And he's a great actor, and he's been on like Ozark, bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, Ozark
yeah.
was a great series.
He played the strip club owner.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, I remember that character.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I never would have thought that was him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Huh. That's cool. Nice. Yeah. Dan LaFontaine voiceovers.
Yeah.
Although, so the voiceover in the trailer was AI, but I did train it specifically, so it is a unique.
Well, it was AI with a performance of me.
Yeah. So it's so weird. Okay, so just the quick lowdown. I had some old sample CDs from the 90s probably. I've had these forever. And it was just hundreds of samples of 5 different men, 5 different trailer guys' voices saying a bunch of phrases like "in a world" and "coming this summer" and "one man."
All those standard
just
like
generic stuff. This winter,
trailer
this autumn, you know, just
blurbs.
and it was hundreds, right? So it was there was 5 folders on this, you know, in this CD, and so I took all of the lines from each voiceover guy and fed it into an AI voice synthesis trainer, and I trained each guy, and then, you know, one of them didn't turn out great, so I deleted it. I was like, whatever, but I kept 4. I'm like, oh, these are great, and like no one else has this, like this is mine, but I kind of stole it because it's not really my voice, but it's this old sample CD that I legitimately bought, so I don't know how all that works you know, legally. But now I can type in anything I want, and this guy who recorded his voice back in the 90s is at my disposal, right? Like I can use it. So we settled on one of the guy's voices. We're like, oh, we like this guy. I think his name was Zach, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, okay, type in his words and hear him say it. It sounded good, but the inflection was wrong. And then I was like, oh, I know what we do. We just record Darrell saying his lines in a world, blah, blah, blah.
Because
blah,
I
blah.
knew how I wanted it to sound as far as cadence went.
Exactly. Took his voice, his performance, fed it into the AI model that I trained Zach, the guy that we wanted. It overlaid all of his voice with Zach's voice, but with his performance. And then the output was that.
But I would also say that it also came out, it sounded great, but it didn't sound like him.
Because it was a little
And
bit
it
of
didn't
you.
sound like me. It was
Right.
like
This
a weird blending into something new.
Yeah.
That was just right for what we were looking for.
Yeah, it was perfect. So it's a weird little song and dance with AI, and
Yeah.
it's great. I love it. That's like the perfect use, I think, of this kind of technology.
Yeah.
So, pretty awesome. And we can use him again and again now. I mean, he's great.
Yeah.
He's free too, by the way.
You don't have to buy him lunch.
Yeah.
Works long hours.
Mm-hmm.
So since today's theme is kind of like medieval stuff, I thought it would be fun to kind of take a look back at 80s fantasy film.
Fantasy.
Like, what are some of your favorite fantasy films of the 80s? There were like a ton, and like some of them like you don't necessarily remember. So I'm just like looking at a list here. Well, let's look at this list, I guess, real quick and see what it says. 35 best 1980s fantasy movies ranked. Oh, well, okay, there we go. So, at number 35, Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure.
Oh, Jesus.
What? I mean...
1984? Yeah, I don't know. That's just one of those.
I don't think so. I mean, yes. At least I'll say this. It got one thing right. Star Wars, as a whole, is of the fantasy genre. It is not science fiction. It is, at its core, fantasy, with a dusting of sci-fi, to dress it up.
Right.
But, the Force, lightsabers, all that stuff. I mean, it's essentially... I mean, you could do that whole story with sword and sorcerers, and it would...
Oh, yeah. With any other, universe or whatever. Yeah. It's like a plug and play kind of thing. Like, just take a reused story, plug in Star Wars, and boom.
We got Red Sonja.
Oh, yeah.
Which I always, I remember liking this movie because, of course, Arnold. But it was kind of a weird movie because in it, you think, oh, it's Conan. But I don't think he plays Conan. I think he just plays,
some
another barbarian
who
looks exactly like Conan.
I know, yeah, that's what's weird about it.
I mean, it was mainly playing up the female lead.
This came out in 85, so this came out after Conan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... Yeah, it was clearly probably just some sort of money grab or something, or, or it could have been a legit story that someone wrote already and they just casted Arnold because
of course they're going to.
Just seen him.
Hot.
And we're like, oh my God,
yeah.
If we could get him, then this movie will be big. But it wasn't really big, was it?
No, I mean, it didn't do anything like, the original Conan did. Hercules, 1983. This is vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
Oh, Lou Ferrigno.
Oh,
God.
yeah, Lou Ferrigno's Hercules.
That must have been... here's what we were talking about earlier. 1987's Masters of the Universe.
Dolph Lundgren, yeah. And they come in, through, portals and stuff. They come flying through, time travelers.
This is, why did this storyline happen so much in the 80s? And it always seemed to happen, and I don't... Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe this doesn't happen in New York, but it always seemed like New York City was ground zero for something from another dimension or another time or something, or from outer space, or show up and they're on the mean streets of New York and shit just runs amok.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was kind of a genre to itself, really. Yeah, even Howard the Duck was like that too, wasn't it? Because he was an alien or something.
Yeah, alien I haven't seen it Duckman.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in forever, but yeah, Escape from New York, and yeah, there's a lot of like that.
Sheena, 1984. I have no idea what this is.
Sheena. Yeah, I remember Sheena.
You do?
Yeah.
Tanya Roberts.
Yeah.
She's familiar.
But I can't remember the movie at all. I just remember it.
Click on this.
Existing.
Oh,
Does
this is
anybody know about Xena? Sheena, I mean.
Sheena.
Oh yeah, Jackson, Neverending Story. Oh yeah, that's got to be up there. Dark
course.
Crystal. I know all the ones we love are going to be up the top of the list.
So
We'll burn through the
Conan
list.
the Destroyer.
Conan the
Not
Destroyer.
nearly as good as the original Conan. It went really awry on that one.
Yeah.
So here's a movie. I saw this in the theater. 1983's Krull.
Oh, Kroll, yeah.
Krull was such a weird movie, but famous for its weapon, right?
Yeah, the Ninja Blade
The
thing.
five
the star
thing with the blades.
Yeah.
And it,
You're right.
but clearly it had a lot of influence from, I want to say Star Wars, but also like other like kind of sword and sorcerer fantasy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It was a weird blend of all of that. But like a ton of like early cameos from like big stars.
Oh, before they were
Like
famous.
Liam Neeson is in this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I haven't seen it so long that I'd have to see it again.
And like the main
Oh.
stars, like I couldn't even tell you who they are. Like they're not like big names.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Krull. Do you remember Kull? I think it's called Kull. Kull. They just dropped the R.
It had like a
Somebody
subtitle
awesome.
called something.
Oh, like a little tagline?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember. Remember who the awesome lead was?
No.
Kevin Sorbo.
Of course you would know that.
So it wasn't the 80s, but it was, I think it was the
Oh, that's
90s.
from the 90s?
I think so. But it was excellent. I loved Kull.
Okay.
Okay.
Happily Ever After. That looks like a cartoon, 1983. That's not a...
Happily Ever After.
Now, Legend. Legend.
Now you're getting good. Yeah.
For me, Legend is Tim Curry. That like his performance
Yeah.
in that is like the bad guy with the huge horns and
Oh, man.
his makeup and his voice. And, but early
Giant horns.
early Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah,
in
Tom
a
Cruise.
fantasy film.
Yeah, yeah.
Very strange.
Yeah. That was-
And I believe it was Mia Sara plays the female protagonist.
Mia Sarah.
Yeah, she was in. She's the girl in Ferris Bueller's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Directed by Ridley Scott, so it had that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it actually strangely had two musical scores. The European version was Jerry Goldsmith, which he was a great composer at the time, but the American version, Tangerine Dream.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this came up
Yeah,
recently.
Tangerine Dream.
I think we were talking about this in Facebook or something, and a couple of people chimed in. I know Joel chimed in, but apparently the Tangerine Dream score is better, or more people preferred the Tangerine Dream score.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I think Jerry Goldsmith's score was traditional,
Right.
you know, music.
Yeah.
For a film.
Williamsy.
Yeah, yeah. 82's Beastmaster. That one was always kind of weird.
Oh, wait.
to me.
Beastmaster?
Yeah.
Oh, 1982. Dang, that's early too.
I wouldn't say I was thinking this as a kid, but like anytime I see a picture from Beastmaster, I'm always like, yeah, kind of homoerotic.
Oh yeah. Wasn't that Mark Singer?
Yes, I think
Yeah,
so. I
yeah.
think you're right.
'Cause I
Mark
wanted-
Singer. Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to say
Not the kind of person I would have
Oh, yeah.
pegged for a fantasy film.
I know, that's what's weird about it.
And not just a fantasy, like we're talking barbarian. We're talking bare chested all the time. We're talking
Arnold
like,
Schwarzenegger, you
like
know, like
the fur underwear.
Oh,
That's all he's
the
running around
fur.
in.
Right, stupid fur. There's a dude having the fur at the Ren Fair today. I saw some fur going on. I wanted to say, oh, what's his name? You know, that I just talked about that played He-Man.
Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was him, but no, yeah, Mark freaking singer, dude. I mean, I would rewatch that again. That these are all like I'm so unfamiliar with these. I feel like I loved them at one point, but it's been so long.
And this is like one of my favorite genres. I don't know, just something about fantasy films. Like if you want to escape reality and go to like another world, fantasy film is always going to do that for you.
Yeah, for real.
Sometimes like true sci-fi to me is going to it's too real. It's too real world.
Right. Like Interstellar was a great movie, but it was based in science, and it was, most of it is, and it's like, well, you can kind of pinpoint a few things that are kind of make believe, but that's not what fantasy is. Fantasy is like, let me tell you this wild story where you're just going to dive in and you're going to believe everything I tell you, because if you don't, it's not going to work. The illusion only works if you just dive right in there. But yeah, sci-fi is like, kind of dive in, put a toe in, and I'll tell you a story. Some of it's gonna be true, some of it's not. We won't tell you what's what, but it's kind of like I don't know. I love sci-fi, but that's not the point of it,
Right. Yeah.
But if you can do a sci-fi fantasy, well, see, that just falls on a fantasy, really. If you could say He-Man's sci-fi fantasy, they're time travelers, they have all this tech. They can go through portals and stuff. It's like, but it just defaults to fantasy at that point.
Right.
So.
Yeah. 1989's Eric the Viking. Have you ever seen this movie?
Oh, I remember Eric the Viking. Yeah, was it a comedy?
Kind of, yeah.
Funny,
Tim Robbins.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very...
I hardly remember.
I mean, but look who was it directed by?
Oh,
Terry Jones. Monty Python's Terry Jones.
Wow.
Yeah. And I believe he wrote the script.
Terry Jones. I haven't heard that name in forever.
Yeah, unfortunately he passed away a couple of years ago. I got to see him in the flesh one time at Dragon Con. It was like the end of Dragon Con, and he was walking out front of the hotel, and I saw him from a distance, and I was like, Terry! And he stopped and he turned. And he looked, and then he kept going, and I was like, "Oh my God, he heard me!"
Harry, don't leave me.
Yeah, that's a movie I would really like to revisit, because I don't really remember it other than it was like a comedy. And
that's
like,
really all I can remember.
Viking warriors.
I'm sure if I
Tim Robbins.
watched it again, I would remember more scenes. But
now I actually put this on the other day. Willow, 1988, a Lucasfilm production, directed by Ron Howard, starring Val Kilmer, and Warwick Davis, famous for playing the Ewok.
Yes, right. Yeah.
And I loved this film as a kid. I saw it in the theater when it came out, and I just thought it was the coolest thing.
Yep, Willow.
Rewatching it again, you're like, man, this is derivative. They literally just kind of took all the plot beats from Lord of the Rings, except replaced a ring with a baby. It's like, okay.
It still worked, though. I mean, it got a lot of money. It had a big advertising campaign, marketing,
And it was revolutionary with its special effects, because it was the first time that morphing was used.
Oh, yeah, morphing.
Because there's this one character who is changed into an animal, and kind of throughout the rest of the film, he keeps trying to change her back into a human, but his powers aren't strong enough yet. And so she keeps getting changed into a different kind of animal.
Wow, I wouldn't remember that either. We loved morphing.
Yeah, you were getting really into it.
I would spend hours trying to morph a face into another face. Did they use motion morphing, or was it like still frame morphing? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Because it seemed like back in the day, it was just like, it's like, here I am as an actor, and I'm just going to all of a sudden pause. And then I'll morph, and then I'll keep moving, right?
I think it was motion. It was motion.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Because then you had to every single frame of
Each
the motion
frame
you
had to map
morph.
the points
Yeah.
from one thing to the other thing.
And it was just time consuming. Back,
Yeah.
back in 1990, I guess, when we started morphing. When did this movie come out? 88. Woo!
88, yeah.
But then Michael Jackson used it in a music video. Remember, morphing with faces.
Oh,
Motion
I
morphing.
forgot about
'Cause
that.
they were
And the
like,
hair would fall.
And doesn't matter if you're black
or white.
And they were
Yeah.
singing, and the hair would drop down, and it would be like a black guy, and also be like an Asian woman, and then it would, I mean.
I'd forgotten about that video.
And then it was like, oh man, back to the drawing board. Because after I saw that, I was like, I need to brush up on my morphing skills because that looks good. And I was like, all right, I got to figure this out.
All right, in 1985, The Black Cauldron came out.
Black Cauldron, dude.
It was a Disney movie. I think it
was a Sierra game.
Yes. Yeah, Sierra was
No, Aloe
contracted to no, Aloe did work on
yeah, that's right.
Black Cauldron. Yeah, Sierra was contracted by Disney to create the game for it. I don't think it did well in the theater. I remember loving it because, of course, it was fantasy and it was like a Disney cartoon, so it was like kind of a little bit of everything. And it was a little different for Disney, I think, because it had kind of more dark undertones.
Oh yeah.
But
it was darker. Yeah.
I could not tell you today like what it's about. I don't remember.
Me too. Me too.
It's like, oh, maybe we should like go back and rewatch all of these and then like do this again.
Absolutely.
And talk about our thoughts.
I feel like I'm so behind. Like,
yeah.
Like add 30 years and suddenly you just don't. It's like a new movie again.
Right.
Yeah.
Return to Oz, 1985. Did you ever see that one?
Return to Oz? Oh, yeah.
The really trippy,
that was
weird
it got
sequel.
Super dark. It had heads in glass jars. It had was Jack Black was in this one?
Jack Black, no.
Yeah, wasn't he?
This is
one
1985.
Yeah, but he was a kid. Like, wasn't he in Return to Oz?
Was he?
No. I'm thinking about.
So it says here it's got Fairuza Balk, who played Dorothy.
Never Ending Story 2.
Nicole Williamson, Jean Marsh, and Piper Laurie.
This is the one with the Wheelers?
Oh, look at this. Directed by Walter Murch. Walter Murch, famous editor. He did a lot of stuff with Lucas. And I believe the Henson's had a bit of a play in this.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a lot of
puppet
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was this? The Wheelers? Remember? Like,
yes.
They were.
Yeah.
Arms and hands were wheels. It was like creepy.
Right.
Kind of. Yeah, that was a weird one. Like, it was dark, and being a kid watching it was kind of scary.
So, 1983, Fire and Ice. This is an animation. This was a Ralph Bakshi animation. I remember this one, and this had a lot of like influence from like Frank Frazetta. So the look of it was really cool.
Frank Frazetta, like the artist?
The artist, the war, like barbarian warrior artists who did all those.
Oh, heavy metal.
Yeah,
magazine.
A lot of heavy metal stuff.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
I don't really remember the plot or the story, but I just remember it being really cool.
Have you done Frank Frazetta paintings in Midjourney?
No.
Man, it's good.
Yeah.
It really knows his style.
Yeah.
It's scary. Yeah, I mean, scary not for me. Scary for him, because he can make some great art. But yeah, I don't remember that one though. I just don't.
Did you ever really get into Ralph Bakshi?
No.
Man, like I loved his Lord of the Rings. He had just a lot of he did a lot of the rotoscoping stuff and very impressive.
They do like stop frame animation stuff like back in the day Wait, you said he was the editor though, right?
Oh, you're talking about Walter Murch, who directed Return to Oz.
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
blending that with Fire and Ice. Never mind.
Oh, but 1981's Clash of the Titans, that goes down in my book as like one of
Oh yeah,
my favorite movies. Really.
oh yeah, big one. Yeah, with the owl and the freaking Medusa and all that. Like that stuff's pretty fresh in my head, even though I haven't seen it in forever. But as a kid, I just rewatched it over and over and over again. And sometimes I just watch it just for the special effects. You know, I'm like just watching, like, whoa, how did they do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Ray
that one-
Harryhausen, famous
Oh yeah.
stop motion animator, did
Exactly.
all of the
Yeah.
claymation.
The models, and they blow it up and make it look like giants, you know.
Yeah.
and serpents or whatever, you know. They had the three-headed serpent guy or whatever. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and that whole depiction of him like fighting Medusa like way influenced me at the point when I made my own Medusa film called Made into Monster.
Yes, Made into Monster. Look, search for that on Vimeo.
It's on YouTube on the our puppet New Puppet Order. I can't even remember my own company's name. New Puppet Order. Yeah.
Hey, Caleb.
Our channel.
Hey, Caleb, bring me some
A fresh brewski.
some mead,
I'll
some
take.
grog.
I'll take
whatever.
one as well.
What color label?
Thank you,
It's
sir.
the yellow can.
This is our
Yeah,
beer
the
maiden over
Munich-
here.
Yeah, that's it.
The beer dragon.
Getting stylish too. Might as well get the whole house. There we go.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Yeah, the stop frame animation stuff, like back in the day, was so cool that it spilled over to the '90s. Like, remember, you know, like Army of Darkness, right?
Oh
The-
yeah, yeah.
with all the skeletons.
That
and all
was
the stuff,
totally influenced by Ray Harryhausen.
Yep, that was all the same technique and everything, you know. And it was still cool, even though, you know, it's a comedy, you know, comedy horror or whatever, but still awesome.
Yeah.
It's just like too bad you never see it ever again. Like no one's ever gonna do it again. Why would you? It's not cost prohibitive. It's like it involves a skill that involves a lot of practice, and why would you even practice? Like, you know, it just doesn't make sense to do that anymore. But you know, I think we will see it one more time, but it's going to be far into the future when most people have forgotten, and it's going to be.
There's still like stop motion, like movies nowadays.
Yeah, but
They're
not
they're
like-
usually like the kids shows.
Yeah, but you're talking about like a whole thing, like everything is that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like
Oh,
the
use
punch-ins.
it as
Right.
a special effect
Exactly.
for like a character.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't
Like-
see that
like
because
that was
it's
big
just
back
completely.
then. It was like, man, how do we make a giant ogre? Oh, I know. We'll make it out of clay, and we'll shoot it, and we'll superimpose it, make it look like a giant. Like, I want to see that again,
Yeah.
and we probably will. It probably won't be anytime soon, but it's gonna be far in the future when everybody's forgotten it. It'll be like, oh my God, look at this guy. He's doing it like they did it in the old school, and he's really good. I could see that happening again. And it's totally a novel thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's totally like that's weird and cool.
You know, I saw something about the original King Kong from the 1930s, and they were talking about how they did a lot of the special effects. Oh, it may have been a Film Riot episode where it was it was like they were testing people, like how they thought that was done, that shot was done.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
Ryan Connolly.
Yeah.
I love Film Riot.
Yeah, so it was, and, you know, like the techniques they were using back in the 30s were really, really cool. You know, they would animate King Kong, you know, and they'd do a holdout where a person was going to be going, oh no, oh no. You know?
Yeah.
And then they would project that and then have the person stand there and like look at it, you know. So it was all, they weren't using like optical printers, they were just using rear projection,
Yeah.
but using mats.
Right.
I never would have thought that they would have done things like that, but
And here we are still
That's
doing
cool.
mats, but AI painted mats.
yeah. 1985, Lady Hawk. Now, the title of this film is familiar, but I couldn't really tell you. I don't remember this one. I may not even actually have seen this.
Yeah. I know the title too.
But it's got Matthew Broderick in it. And Rutger Hauer. And Michelle Pfeiffer. Wow.
Yeah, seems
And
like-
this is a fantasy film?
right. 1985?
1985.
Man, so much stuff came out in 85. We didn't have time for crap like this. We were watching, Gremlins and Ghostbusters and Back to the Future.
Upon breaking out of a dungeon, youthful thief Philippa Gayton, Matthew Broderick, or Philip Gaston, Matthew Broderick, befriends Captain Navarre, Rutger Hauer, a man with more. I'm not going to click it, but
yeah.
wow, I can't believe Matthew Broderick did like a. That just doesn't seem like the kind of role that he would do. But interesting. Yeah, I've actually never seen Lady Hawk.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
1982's Conan the Barbarian. I freaking love this movie.
Yeah,
I've
I do
seen
too.
it like a billion freaking times. John Milius. I feel bad because for so long I did not know who the director of Conan the Barbarian was. And John Milius is like a compatriot of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, and like they were all buddies and they would hang out all the time, and they like he got a one up on them because like he had some weird surfing movie coming out at the same time that Star Wars and Close Encounters were coming out,
Really?
and they all were like, hey, let's trade points. So he got like a point on Star Wars and Close Encounters of the Third Kind,
Right.
and they got like a point on his movie.
Oh, interesting. I never read that.
His movie didn't do shit, and he probably made a living off of
Right.
that little insignificant
his
little.
point wasn't worth crap. That's funny.
But yeah, John Milius is a legendary guy. He's apparently just like this crazy rough and tumble dude. But yeah, he directed Conan the Barbarian. Fantastic film.
Yeah. And by the way, that Conan the Barbarian, the cover art, where he's standing there all majestic with his sword in the air and a woman, clutching his leg, has been parodied all over the place, right? Like that was the a parody of that cover was Army of Darkness.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
standing
yeah,
there
yeah.
with his shotgun and his, and then you got the woman clutching his leg. Then you have the National Lampoon's Vacation. Chevy Chase standing there, and then his wife clutching his leg, and his other leg, I think, was like that blonde woman in the red Porsche or something like that.
Oh,
But
oh yeah, totally.
yeah, but like that cover is like always
See,
been parodied.
It's funny. I thought they were parodying Star Wars because Star Wars, which is from 1977,
Oh,
is that exact same pose.
well, that's true. With Leia clutching the leg,
Yeah.
was it? Wow, I didn't even think of that. That
So
totally came
did
first.
he get?
Conan must have copied it.
Conan-
They didn't parody it because Conan
No.
was serious, right? So they just must have been like, "Hey, let's just lift this. Nobody
Well,
will know. There's no internet. No one's gonna talk about
Well,
it."
or I don't know. I'm sure John was like, "Hey George, can I use that
Yeah,
layout
probably.
for
Probably. It's
like
like-
that would be perfect for this movie?" He's
It's like, leave me alone. I'm in the bathroom.
He's
Do
like,
whatever you want to do.
"Yeah, John. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever."
I didn't even think about that. Huh?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
1980. I cannot believe this came out in 1981. Heavy Metal.
Heavy Metal. Wow, 1981. Wow, that's early.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the weird animation with the woman with the I don't know. It's just
It was
so
like an anthology
skinny and
film, right? It had
Yeah,
like,
'cause it had
several
different stories.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
very similar to the magazine, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
it was always like a different
Eon
story.
Flux is the one I always think about.
Yeah.
With that, but because Eon Flux went on to have like other series and stuff like that, but
Heavy Metal was totally a high school film. Because this was just like we were exploring new things that like kind of underground things.
Yeah.
Things kind of like outside the big Hollywood. The Heavy Metal and Akira are like two movies that I think that
Akira was big
watching it at around the same time.
with animation. Yeah, that was back when they call it Japanimation.
Japanimation.
Before they even call it anime. Isn't that crazy?
Because apparently saying Japanimation is offensive because it's got Jap in it.
I think it just localized it too much. And it was like, no, there's like other people doing this style. So, leave out the word Japan. That's what I always thought.
Oh.
So it was like, let's not localize it. Let's generalize
Yeah,
it.
but even when you say anime, my first thought is, from Japan? It's
okay.
Japanese.
Yeah, right. That's true. I mean,
I mean, it's kind of ingrained in it.
Yeah.
1982, probably the best title for any fantasy film ever, The Sword and the Sorcerer.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been familiar with this movie, but I can't really remember it. The synopsis is a medieval prince, Lee Horsley, rescues a damsel, Kathleen Beller, and avenges his slain family with a triple-edged sword. I don't recognize any of those actors.
Yeah.
But the title...
The title's generic as crap. Like, you just like...
something that's kind of burned in my mind.
Like, the dragon and the fireball. It's like, really? Like, you couldn't have thought of something better? Yeah. I don't remember anything about it at all. Yeah. Let us know in the chat if you know anything about the Sword and the Sorcerer.
I'm a little surprised that 1980s Rankin and Bass Return of the King is on this list. I've never seen it. I love the Rankin and Bass The Hobbit, but from all accounts, this movie is just an absolute train wreck of crap. And what's weird is, so they did The Hobbit, and I think they did a really good, faithful.
The Hobbit series?
Well, the cartoon from the late 70s.
Oh, the cartoon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rankin and Bass.
Yeah, okay.
Was fantastic. They then skipped 2 books, of which the Ralph Bakshi film actually covered the Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers, but then he never finished it. He never did the Return of the King, and then Rankin and Bass did a Return of the King, but in their style, so it looks like The Hobbit.
Yeah.
But I've never seen it. I could never bring myself to see it. I don't know.
You just couldn't do that.
And I'm really surprised this is on this list because I've heard so many people talk crap about it. 1986 Highlander.
Highlander. I mean, you loved Highlander.
I freaking love this movie. Movie, how it spawned an entire genre onto itself is beyond me. Because at its core, it makes no fucking sense. It's 0 sense. Like, I don't get it. I mean, you can have the one movie.
So break it down again. Yeah, there's heads being chopped off and
so
stuff.
There's these random people throughout time who live forever, and they must engage in sword battles, and they are compelled to fight one another with swords, no matter what time period they're in, and they must cut off the head of their opponent until there's only one left.
Oh, that's right.
At which point, I don't know. Like,
then you're the winner.
Who set up this weird game throughout time? I don't know. Oh, there's a lot of stuff that makes no sense. But in the movie, you just have to buy it, right? You're just like, okay, all right, fine. I'll just not think about any of that, and I'll just watch cool people fighting with swords.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, well, I'm experiencing the quickening, and there can be only one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like to choose Christopher Lambert as your star, an odd choice, but it somehow works for this film.
Yeah.
Fantastic score, of course, by Queen,
Oh yeah, Queen.
which
Oh,
I'm
man,
sure
I
Larry
forgot it,
would
yeah.
lambast, but
Yeah, and Sean Connery. of
Sean
course, you know.
Connery. Sean Connery. Okay. Again, how Highlander just like completely messes with your mind. You have Christopher Lambert, a Frenchman, playing Connor MacLeod, a Scotsman, who is befriended by Sean Connery, who in real life is a Scotsman. But
Right.
he's playing a Spaniard
He's playing a Spaniard.
who came from Egypt. I don't know. There's some Egypt connection in there.
What the crap?
Yeah, and of course it's Sean Connery, right? He never changed his accent for anything in his entire
Oh,
life.
I know. It
you
was
know?
just him. Sean Connery.
Sure, he's like, Connor MacLeod, I'm a Spaniard. And you're experiencing the quickening.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Name the dog, Indiana.
It is a true train wreck of a movie that just works.
Yeah. Pretty weird, huh?
And it's also got a fantastic portrayal as the bad guy, Clancy Brown, who just plays this sick and twisted, sadistic bad guy with his deep voice. Connor MacLeod,
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna chop your head off. And then he's like licking sword blood off of it and being all weird, and
Yeah.
like his look at the end is like he's like a punk guy, you know. And of course, takes place in New York. Weird shit going on in New York,
Yeah.
running amok, you know, like
Yeah.
same storyline.
Weird New York thing.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. The first Highlander works. The rest of them you just forget about.
That was what year? 86?
86. Yeah. 1982's The Last Unicorn. This is a
Oh, that
movie.
one was sad. Just the song is the greatest thing ever.
See, I don't remember this movie. I don't know if I've ever sat down and watched it like start to finish.
It's sad. I saw it at the theater.
Really?
It's sad, yeah. Saw it at the theater for some reason. I guess I was with my mom. What year? Long ago. 82.
82.
So I was 6 years old. So, right? I was born in 76. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, it was I don't know. Like I haven't seen it since. So
Yeah.
like I remember loving it, thinking it was really cool, and then the end was sad. I've heard the song many times since then. I still love the song. Like the song's great. And many people have remade the song over time. I've always wanted to make a cover of this song. It's just so good.
I'm gonna have to hear it because like I don't remember it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's great. Anyway,
I don't know what it was about the early 80s where like why unicorns were such a big thing, because they really seem to come up a lot. I mean, they're in Legend, right? Like that's the whole thing. They got the unicorns run around and then, like somebody kills one and it's like bad.
oh
and,
yeah. Wasn't there a unicorn in I forget. But yeah, I think unicorn. When did unicorn lore even become a thing?
Well, I think it goes back a long time. But Adam N. Thank you, by the way.
Never ending
For
story.
your contribution. How about 81's Time Bandits? It's got to be on this list, right? So, I mean, we're only at number 13. But
yes,
we'll
thank you,
get to
Adam.
Time Bandits, even if it's not on this list.
That is
okay. I'm gonna
absolutely.
skip ahead just to see if it's on here. Yes, yes, of course. Oh, very interesting. Oh, I can't wait to talk about that. Man, this is
Okay.
a really long list.
Okay.
But
We don't have that many left though. But
yeah, we don't have that many lists. We'll bust through them real quick.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's The Last Unicorn. 1981's Dragon Slayer. Do
Dragon
you remember
Slayer.
this movie?
man, like I remember the poster. I remember seeing it at video stores. Like
I remember seeing it.
Movie.
I remember for some reason, like a lot of my childhood was watching stuff on Showtime. Showtime
Yeah.
played a lot of good stuff.
It did, yeah.
I saw this movie on Showtime.
Oh yeah, you had Showtime. You didn't? Did you have HBO?
No.
See, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't either.
Growing up,
That's right.
we didn't have HBO.
I only had Showtime.
I just had Showtime.
Yeah, no.
Must have been cheaper or something.
Maybe, I don't know. That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
I always kind of like wanted HBO because that was cool.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh well.
Because they had the shows.
Yeah.
Like, no other network at the time had shows.
That's
Like-
right.
Like they had First and 10, the
Yeah.
football show.
I
and-
remember Showtime a lot of times would just rerun movies that I've already seen. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good. Like, they would play good new stuff like this,
Yeah.
but like, it was just all about too many reruns. It was like, oh, get HBO, Mom. You know, like they got like new stuff that you can't get on Showtime. But anyway,
So I don't really know a lot about the production of Dragon Slayer, but I remember loving the movie as a kid. And like about a year ago, I was like, "Oh man, I want to rewatch Dragon Slayer," because I just have this memory of it being a really well-made movie.
yeah.
But it wasn't available anywhere. And then I checked just the other day, and it is like available for rent on something. So I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go back and watch that." But I know that it stars as its lead the apprentice who is charged with going and slaying this dragon. And I think his name is Peter no, maybe it is. But anyways, he goes on to play the guy in Ghostbusters 2.
Ghostbusters 2. Oh.
The little, he kind of plays a European guy. He had this is like kind of,
yeah.
and
Oh, I know who you're talking
And he's like a painter or something, and he's restoring the paint, and he has that big painting of what's his name, the bad guy in Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
And then he gets
man.
possessed by him.
Okay.
And he's of course obsessed with Sigourney Weaver's character and
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
Zool.
but yeah, so he was the guy who played the lead in Dragon Slayer, and I know that ILM was involved in the production of this. They did the visual effects.
Oh yeah.
So
Early
I guess,
ILM.
I guess that's why I remember it as being such a really well-made, polished movie.
1981.
81, very
Yeah.
early. So I'd love to go back and rewatch that. Quest for Fire, 1981. The
wow.
title is familiar, but
Quest for Fire had that was the movie about the
Radon Chong is in this.
cavemen and stuff, right? That was the caveman movie.
I mean, it must be.
Man, I loved it. It has no dialogue in it, right?
Yeah, it
Do you
doesn't.
remember this one? It has zero dialogue. There's no words spoken at all.
Yeah, in the prehistoric world, a Cro-Magnon tribe depends on an ever-burning source of fire, which eventually extinguishes, lacking the knowledge. ...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man, I
okay.
loved it when I was a kid because it's a movie with no words. That's cool, right? It's just cavemen grunting.
Yeah. That's something I'm gonna need to watch.
Yeah, I want to rewatch that.
1981's Excalibur, John
Excalibur.
Borman. Another movie I saw on Showtime back in the 80s.
Yeah.
I freaking loved this movie. I mean, I think by modern standards, it's just a very bizarre telling
Yeah, of the story.
of that
right.
story.
Yeah.
But I just have fond memories of it. I think
And it
it's
was
great.
real gruesome too, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. There's
Heads chopping off kind of
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
And then it's also kind of hokey in a few ways. The guy who plays Merlin, who is like this great character actor, he kind of goofs it up a little bit, sometimes playing Merlin, He has this weird voice. Again, another movie that has a lot of famous people early in their careers. Another
Right.
Liam Neeson appearance.
Oh, nice.
Helen Mirren plays the baddie. the Morgan Le Fay.
Oh yeah.
And then an actor I love, Kieran Hines, is also in it. He plays one of the Knights of the Round Table.
Kieran Hines.
Kieran Hines, yeah, he's a Irish actor. He's been in tons of stuff. The second I show you his picture, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've seen him tons of stuff.
Yeah. I'm bad with names sometimes.
But yeah,
this is number 10, by the way. We're on the top 10 list.
top
right
10.
now.
Yes.
So Excalibur's 10.
Coming in at number 10, and now number 9.
Now we're getting with the juicy stuff right here.
1986 Labyrinth. Now, you know what? This is a movie I never saw until a few years ago.
No.
Yeah.
How could that even be?
I don't know. I just somehow completely missed it.
I thought we saw that together, talked about it, and that's weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
I just somehow never saw this movie.
Huh. That's so strange. I just thought that was a staple. Like, we'd all seen it.
I know. Yeah, it's
So strange.
famously a Jim Henson production, but
Yeah.
also what I don't know, some people don't know is that it was heavily involved with George Lucas. So he was like executive producer on it. Mm-hmm. So in a way, it's just another Lucas film.
Yeah.
Production.
Right.
I guess the crossover between, the Yoda character, and so that's kind of how they all kind of got into each other's lives. And then Jim was like, I've got this idea, and George was like, well, I can help you produce it and get it made. And then, of course, famously, David Bowie and his codpiece.
Right.
Jennifer Connelly, who's a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
In her own right for many, many things. But yeah, a fun film, a very typical Jim Henson fantasy kind of world that's created. So
yeah,
I mean, truly a classic.
Yeah,
no denying that. And then followed up by 1982's Dark Crystal. Now I did see this in the theater.
Yeah, Dark Crystal, which was pretty scary for a little kid to watch.
Very bizarre film.
Yeah, and really creepy. 1982, so it's like before PG-13. So I think it was just PG, but probably should have been PG-13 for sure. Yeah, what a wild and the resurgence of that, right?
Yeah, they recently did a series on Netflix to kind of continue the story. It got one season before they burned it.
Yeah, wonder why that was. You liked it though, didn't you?
I was more. I liked it better than the movie. That's what I'm trying to get.
Oh, really?
I was trying to find a subtle way of saying it, but yeah. It was more palatable than the movie.
Oh, okay.
Is
yeah.
way. I don't know.
They've had a long time to think about it, I think.
Right. I can appreciate the artistry behind Dark Crystal and the world building and all that stuff, but for some reason, for me, there's just something about that particular world that, I don't know, it just doesn't gel with me. So I'm not the biggest fan of the Dark Crystal.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's cool.
Yeah.
Puppets. 1984, number 7. 1984's The Never Ending Story, another movie I saw in the theater.
Yeah.
A classic.
Yeah. Favorite.
Probably one that you go back and watch today and you're like, it hasn't aged so well. I don't know.
These hands. I love the stone guy. Man, everything about it. I loved it. I mean, still now I love it. Even, maybe not the horse dying. Atreus' horse.
Oh, man. A friend of ours, this Australian lady, comes to DragonCon every year and she does cosplays. Mm-hmm. And she is super talented. Not only for her execution of like building costumes and stuff, but really her conceptualization of her her costumes. Mm-hmm. So one year she did the Atreyu trying to keep the horse from drowning,
How do you do that?
She had a horse head
Oh my god.
that was like kind of like, you know, you set it on the floor,
Uh-huh.
and it's like at an angle where it looks like it's like
Oh,
in the floor.
Merged into
Yeah.
yeah.
And then she had the costume, and so she would like take pictures, right? And she's like holding on to the thing, and like the horse is like in the floor. And
This is so wrong.
yeah, it was fucking freaky, but it was brilliant.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty
But,
wild. But yeah, man.
And also
What a
the
great
soundtrack,
movie.
just Never Ending Story. Of course, the theme song is just a classic
Excellent.
80s
Yeah.
track. A movie at number 6, a movie I freaking have always loved.
Oh my God.
1980s Flash Gordon. Yeah, another
Flash
Queen
Gordon. Yeah, Queen,
soundtrack. Max von Sydow playing the evil Ming the Merciless. Fantastic. I mean, he's just a fantastic actor all around, but like that was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Sam Jones is the titular character. Met him at DragonCon a couple years ago. Just like out on the sidewalk, like passing by, like, hey, what's up? It's you. And he was like, yeah, hi.
Oh yeah. Oh. Winger fan won. Yeah.
Never fear, Winger fan is here.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We got this little lo-fi situation, so I don't know like when it's gonna pop up with the, announcement or whatever. But like,
Or if all.
That's for you.
Actually, it may not, because we're using a full feed and we don't have that overlay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so.
thank you, sir. We'll be back to the the regular weird stuff probably next time, but
We had to go simple today. Yeah, so Flash Gordon, I mean, if you haven't seen it, just see it. It's a classic.
Violator said, Eric, what was the song you liked from a fantasy movie? Can't find the timestamp. The Last Unicorn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, look that one up. Last Unicorn. That's the best.
Okay, coming in at number 5. Oh my God, I'm shocked that this is on this list, but I love this movie.
Oh yeah.
I love. I can't tell you enough how I watch this movie once a year.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a while, so like I should rewatch it. But I remember you just always marveling about it.
It's 1989. 1989.
89, yeah.
Terry Gilliam's The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. This is my favorite Terry Gilliam film. I love it more than Time Bandits. It is such a zany, crazy, fun movie. John Neville playing Baron Munchausen, fantastic actor, fantastic portrayal. Mm-hmm. The costumes, the art. I mean, Terry Gilliam's famous for that. His sets and I just love it. There's like nothing. There's nothing you can say went wrong with it, even though. Like the production of the movie was a complete shit show. Apparently, Robin Williams.
Oh really?
Plays the King of the Moon, and I don't think he didn't like the movie, but he had his name removed, so he's not credited in the movie. And I don't know exactly the reasons behind that, but I don't know. There were a lot of mishaps, so it's just a shock that movie even exists. But I love it. I think it's great.
Huh. Oh hey. Oh sorry.
Okay.
I thought you were the beer maiden. So the next one on the list is one of my favorites.
So we have a double whammy, right? We go from number 5 to number 4. Staying in Terry Gilliam land. It's Time Bandits,
Time
1981.
This was my jam. This is what, like, showed me what time travel is. Like, this is, like, the concept of time travel. Like, what? Whoa. Hold on a second, guys. There's people that can travel through the time periods? this is interesting. Let me think about this. And it was just blew my mind. It was like, this is so wild. And then my dad had me read Keith Laumer books because he was like, if you like time travel, check these out. And I hated to read when I was a kid, but he knew that.
Yeah.
So he was like, I'm going to give you a book that's short stories by Keith Laumer because you could probably digest these. And I was like, and that worked.
That's smart.
I was like, oh, interesting. So I read all these little short stories, and I'm like, man, so this is the movie that kind of really got me into time travel. And of course, it was completely destroyed when I got to 1985 with Back to the Future. Not destroyed. I still completely love Time Bandits. And I've always rewatched it throughout my life. It's just fantastic. Everything about it, I love it. But when Back to the Future hit, I was just all in on time travel. That was just bam. And then my lifelong quest was to watch every single movie or show or consume any kind of content or material that involves time travel. That way I could take all of the ideas and congest them and then form my own ideas that have never, which I do have a few that have never been told before, complete new time travel ideas. But I'll tell you the one that gotten stolen from me. I had written a movie called, not a full featured script, but basically kind of a treatment really back in 1991 or 1990 maybe. Anyway, called The Time Patrol. And later that year, Time Cop came out with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And I was like, dang it! So I was like, all right, done with that one. But I still have a couple that have never been told, and I still to this day I want to do some of these. But yeah, so Time Bandits was just, I mean, I still want a Time Bandits map to put on my wall, and I saw one on eBay once, and it was like $1,000. I'm like, what is that? So I can't find a high resolution file. So I'm like, because I'll just print my own, really, but like I can't get it. I can't find it. But I've always wanted a map just to put on the wall, frame it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, Time Bandits is great. Terry Gilliam's one of my favorite directors. I mean, he just puts a lot of artistry in
Is he
his
still
movies.
doing stuff now? Like what's going on with him?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's still active. I don't know. I think he's a bit cantankerous and
Cantankerous.
I don't know. It's hard for him to get things done. So.
Where's our beer maiden? Hey, Beer Dragon. Where's the Beer Dragon?
Coming in at number 3, a movie, another movie I love, 1982's The Secret of Nim.
Secret of Nim.
What a cool, kind of really different. It's like Disney doing, a dark turn. It wasn't produced by Disney. I think it was like a bunch of former Disney animators who jumped ship and.
Oh, really?
The Bud Lights might be out. But there's more that can be put in the fridge.
Thank you
on the
very
floor.
much. Ooh, what is this?
I don't know. Oh, it's a light.
Oh, it just says
Nickelodeon light.
But it has all these other words. They look fancy.
But you don't like to read, so.
Well, it says beer never broke my heart. What is this? That's so weird. Well, here we go.
A commemorative can.
Here we go. Secret of Nim.
So what a weird story, right? Like
it was like a rat.
Yeah, so it's like it's like a bunch of laboratory rats who escaped or something like that, and then like there's this whole fantasy element of like magic and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's weird and very cool.
Yeah, I would have to.
I'd like to watch it again
refresh my
too.
memory on that one because. Yeah, I can't remember much about it.
It's very adult too.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you just read this description, Mrs. Brisby, a widowed mouse, must move her children out of their home in a field before the like somebody's coming to destroy the thing, and they're trying to like get out and
Oh
move.
yeah, now I kind of remember a little. Yeah.
Yeah. But then there's
Little
like this weird
Honey,
fantasy element
Honey, I
to
Shrunk
it,
the Kids kind of vibe.
but not comedic at all.
Right.
It's
right.
like it's very dark and serious.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and like urgent.
Yeah.
But yeah, great movie. I was not expecting to see this as like on this list.
That's stupid.
And it's not really in my wheelhouse. Number 2 is like 19. Is that? Did that come out in 89? 1989 is The Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid, Disney. I mean,
Disney.
come on, that's like what?
I mean, yes.
Sure, it's fantasy, but
It
all
is
the
fantasy.
Disney cartoons are fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
When
How
I
about
think
Aladdin? I think that's a better movie than Little Mermaid, but
when I think of
Weird.
fantasy, when I go to discuss fantasy, I'm talking about high fantasy, the bit, like a lot of sword and sorcerer stuff, essentially.
but not the freaking
but
Little
you can
Mermaid.
skew a little bit from that.
the crap.
But yeah, not
That's stupid. Like that. Okay.
Another movie I did not see until much later in life.
Oh, Skate Ramp said Little Mermaid was for girls, I think. I mean, it kind of was. I mean,
Yeah, totally.
You're kind of right, but yeah, it has no place on this. We just talked about Munchausen.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we're like, oh, by the way, there's this cartoon about a mermaid. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's number 2. But
Yeah.
anyway, number 1.
Number 1 is a movie
Before
we
you say
both love.
We loved it. We loved
Yeah.
the soundtrack. We
Yeah.
used the soundtrack in
A lot.
many of our
Yeah.
short films back in the day.
Yeah.
And when we decided, hey, how about one of the topics for tonight's live show on E&D Live? We talk about our favorite fantasy films. So I already thought, I already have mine, and we're about to say what it is. And I'm like, that's mine. I didn't even know this list. You just Googled this list, by
Yeah.
the way. Like
Yeah.
we didn't plan this list. It makes sense that this is number 1 because this is my number 1. But anyway. Should we say it?
Yeah.
Or should we just be like, cliffhanger,
Yeah.
end of show?
End of show. Goodbye.
Okay, so the number 1 fantasy film, according to some guy on the internet,
Some random list we just
is
clicked on.
The Princess Bride.
From 1987.
Yeah.
Rob Reiner directed this classic. The thing that strikes me about this, like if you compare it to some of the other big fantasy films on this list, is it's kind of got a low budget feel to it, right?
Yeah, a little, yeah.
It was like a small film.
Yeah.
They didn't have a lot of money for sweeping visual effects and you can create the entire city and stuff.
Right.
They just had they shot this and this. But I
Yeah.
read the book, and this is like
Oh, yeah.
a nearly perfect copy of the book.
Oh.
They edited out one big section, and it was clearly due to budget because it would have had to have been really
yeah.
fantastical. But
Yeah.
like most of the book is there in this movie.
Oh.
Um,
Yeah, no, I mean, they built a lot of sets. There were a lot of good sets, but there were no real special effects because instead of like making some gigantic, crazy giant and getting special effects going and all this models and stuff, they just got Andre the Giant. He's already a big dude. Get him. And then, like the shots where they tried to make like little people like Billy Crystal and stuff like that, they just built a set that made it kind of look like short people and you're done. It's like they were actually very like clever in how they
Very
shot
practical.
everything. Right. Everything was practical. It's like, but that was great because like it was all about the dialogue, really. The story and the dialogue was like the winner. It wasn't the visual effects and stuff, so especially the scene with the poison. I love that scene.
Yeah. An endlessly quotable movie.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marriage. I mean, yeah, it just what a great one.
Now, see, to me, I cannot refute the fact that it's got fantasy elements to it. But I wouldn't necessarily off the top of my head just go, oh, fantasy film, Princess Bride. I think of it more of an adventure film.
Yeah, an adventure film. Yeah. See, I was just saying here, a Dad 75. I usually think of Princess Bride more of a comedy than for its fantasy elements. I mean, yeah. I mean, it is comedy. But then I don't think comedy gets in the way of being a fantasy.
No.
Sci-fi does, like we just talked about. Sci-fi and fantasy just goes to fantasy. But like comedy is okay. Just like you could say it's a horror film, but it's a comedy.
A comedy horror, yeah.
But it's still a horror, I don't know. That's just me, but adventure film, like I would say, well, Indiana Jones, obviously, like the most adventure film ever made, right? It's an adventure. Star Wars, I think that's an adventure film. You could say it's fantasy. You could say it's sci-fi. It's really just adventure.
Well, it's classic.
It's all three,
I mean,
whatever.
The hero's journey.
Right, yeah. It's that archetype, I guess, yeah.
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 Well deserving of number one on this list. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Hollywood remaking old movies?
And thank you, Fidel Cerda.
Yeah, Fidel Cerda. My thoughts on it is that they've always done that. It's nothing new. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, taking point, one of my favorite movies, now I'm having a brain fart, but from the 1940s, it was right there, and it didn't come out of my mouth. The Maltese Falcon. The Maltese Falcon.
Oh, Maltese Falcon.
The Maltese Falcon. The one with Humphrey Bogart is a remake.
Oh.
In fact,
From what year?
Think
from what?
It may have been the third film of Maltese Falcon. So there's plenty of opportunity to remake things and make your own mark on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the original still exists.
Yeah.
It's not being erased or shoved aside or anything like that. It's not like the word remake, I think, is kind of loaded, right? Kind of makes you feel like, oh well, it's not good enough, so let's remake it, right? Like let's make it good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, remake is kind of a, like a Band-Aid or a fix, or, I don't know. Like, reimagine would be great, because, like, if you call it a reimagining, then it's like, oh, well, you could reimagine something a million different ways. You could have a million different versions of Evil Dead. They all exist. You can always watch whatever one you want to watch. So I've always been okay with that. I mean, it's always interesting to see if a remake is good or bad. That's always kind of the thing. It's like, oh, the remake sucks. I can't believe it. But you always got the original.
Did you ever see the remake of Total Recall?
No. I don't think so. Or did I? If I did, I totally forgot about it. I did not have Total Recall on that one.
You have no recall of
No.
I think I haven't seen it either.
Wow, when you said that, I was like, did that really happen?
Yeah, it did.
I must have seen it. Now I think I've seen it, but I absolutely do not remember anything about it.
See, I had that knee-jerk
so
reaction
weird.
when they announced that they were redoing Total Recall, because, like, I don't know, I saw Total Recall in the theater.
Yeah, we loved it. We
Freaking
always
loved
quoted
it.
it. Yeah.
I think I went and saw it like 3 times or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, like, the concept of remaking Total Recall was so off-putting that I was like, I'm not gonna see that.
Yeah.
which is just, I don't know.
Most times,
it's fine for an initial reaction, but I should have gotten. I should probably watch it and form my own opinion on it. I read a lot of reviews and people were just like lambasting it and saying it was just crap. But I guess my big takeaway from like, should Hollywood remake movies? Sure, but I think it's important for whoever's doing it, the director or whatever. Like, why are you remaking this movie? Really ask yourself that question. Is there something that you think you can do with it that's going to bring something new, not just different, but new? Like, oh well, we can make the lead a woman in this version. No, that's not like, no, like what is it about the story that it's saying in the end? Like, did they not quite make that point in the original film? Can you somehow give it that gravitas that it needed, that it was missing? That's when you should remake a film.
Right. But yeah, often it's always like,
just to do
I
it
can't
differently.
believe they're remaking, so and so. It's like, it doesn't need to be remade. It's perfect the way it is. Like, always hear that, right? That's the commentary. It's like, and it could be some weird random movie that's just like, why care about that movie? Like let's say the movie Home Alone. Who cares? Like, let's remake it. Why? Like, doesn't make any sense. Like, does anybody care to see a remake of Home Alone? Like, but it will happen, and then you'll still have like people that garner like interest and be like, man, I love the remake of Home Alone. It's like, okay, well, you're free to love whatever you want,
Well, it's like asking us what our favorite Star Wars movie is versus asking someone who's 30 years younger than us what their favorite Star Wars movie is.
Right.
They grew up watching the prequels, and they probably love them.
Right.
Because they were kids when it came out, and it was a movie designed for kids. So they were the target audience. We were kids when the originals came out, so we formed that connection to those films, and then by the time we were older and saw the prequels, we were like, what's all this crap? This isn't Star Wars.
Right.
But we were using our older brains to view Star Wars.
Right. Well, it's also this kind of like psychological thing where like, you don't want a new legacy to be born from something that you've made a connection with.
Right.
Like, I love Army of Darkness. I know it's a stupid movie, but I love it to death. And I would hate that movie got remade in a terrible way and garnered a new community, a new interest in, and that was the new legacy. And the old one kind of died. And the new thing was like, oh no, the new one, that's the one that exists.
Yeah.
If you ever talk about the old one, it's like, whatever, man. And like me, in my heart, I'm like, I would hate to see that happen. So in a way, I could see people hating the whole concept of a remake.
Right.
Because it destroys what you love, and now a new legacy is born of something that you hate. You know? So it's like basically your worst nightmare, happening.
Right.
So, I mean, but it's a double-edged sword because some remakes are absolutely fantastic, but it's just a bet. It's like, well, I hope Hollywood just does it well.
Well, yeah, and I also wonder, like, the way the world was back in, like, the 40s and the way that media was released versus now. Everything, all the movies of all of history are at our fingertips. Right inside that little box. I can find anything, and I can watch it over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
To my heart's content. In the 1940s, you saw a movie, it was in the theaters for a week, and then it went away forever. Maybe if it did really well, they'd bring it back for another run, like, in 6 months or something like that, or a year.
Yeah.
But really, movies were a one and done Burnham situation. You watch something, it was gone. You move on to the next thing. You don't, hey, it's 6 years later, You know that movie Maltese Falcon did really good. Let's put it back in theaters. No, hey, let's just make a new one.
Yeah.
Hey,
Right.
who's that hot guy? Bogart. Yeah, we'll put Bogart in in this movie. The people will eat it up, man.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because they haven't been watching that Maltese Falcon from 6 years ago over and over and over again.
Right.
You know, so I think the whole remaking things back in the day was from a completely different perspective than now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah, that's totally legit. Yeah, Roadhouse remake, I see it. Footloose. Oh, that's Lisa. Hey. And John Sawa too. What's up?
Hey.
We're just on a roll over here. We're barely looking at the chat room, but hey, everybody. Caleb's even in here talking too. Matt Graham. Yeah. I mean, these are good, important things that we should get out there.
That's right. Where's the chat room? I lost it.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
There it is. Now we're looking at the chat room.
I will never watch the new Roadhouse. I don't know. Yeah, the trailer didn't excite me.
The new Roadhouse.
That was another Showtime movie for me. I watched that in high school late at night on Showtime. That's how I first saw it. But the trailer didn't do anything for me. But I hear it's good. I was surprised to see that that fighter guy was in it.
Fighter guy?
Yeah, that what was the bare knuckle boxing league? Conor McGregor. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, the great.
Thank you, Dragon.
Yes, Dragon from the other room.
But yeah, nobody compares to Swayze. That's true.
Dredd was incredible. John Sawa. Anyone see Civil War yet? Alex Garland was king. I have not. That's on my list. In fact, I was probably going to go see that tomorrow.
I keep hearing about this movie.
Yeah, Civil War, totally. Yeah, yeah.
I have an acquaintance of mine had a small role in it.
Yeah.
Because she was posting stuff on Facebook about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, totally gonna check that one out soon for sure. Let's see, looking through here. No, I guess.
Harry Potter. That's right. They're doing a series for Harry Potter
TV show.
TV show.
Sitcom with a laugh track. Because that you got my attention with that.
Shut up.
All of a sudden, Siri starts talking. Wow, I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, they're redoing it completely, which I mean, I gotta say they nailed those movies. They really brought those beloved books to life.
Oh yeah.
And they're iconic. You know, the cast is iconic. You know, I think a lot of people are going to have a hard time trying to imagine who could possibly play Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
I feel sorry for whoever that young actor is.
Oh yeah.
Because it's going to be a lot on their shoulders.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Totally.
But it could be great. I mean, obviously.
Is it going to be like the remake that everybody hates kind of feel to it, you think?
It could be great. I mean, obviously they made movies out of books. You can't tell an entire book in the confines of a movie. They're doing it in a TV show format, so they can explore all the nuance.
Oh yeah.
You know, because they're not hemmed in by time.
And with VFX, with using AI and stuff, now you can make some crazy stuff. You can still have the original cast in the movie if you want to. You can reanimate anybody. Lovebug has a question. In fact, Lovebug reminds me. Remember the Disney movie Lovebug with
yes.
Bruce Campbell?
Oh,
it was pretty excellent.
I forgot about that.
Anyway,
that was a remake.
It was. Okay. Lovebug says, "What's better, the '90s or the '80s?" Such a impossible way to. I mean, that's an impossible question.
What? Not for me. Screw the 90s. 80s all the way. I did not like the 90s.
Well, in what way though? It's just a generic. What's better, 90s, 80s?
80s.
Well, okay, you do have a point there. Okay, 80s.
80s.
I was like, the movies? Well, 80s. Are you talking about music? Oh, well, 80s. Are you talking about like
Fashion.
fashion? 80s.
80s.
Are you talking about food? 80s. I don't know. I'm sure.
What's the
90s
difference in
food's kinda
food
sucked.
between 80s and 90s?
I don't know. It probably sucked in the 90s anyway. I don't know.
It's just food. It's the same. Chicken's a chicken.
I mean, didn't they have like special like 80s brands that didn't carry on to the 90s? What about New Coke?
I don't know.
I'm just kidding. 90s big thumbs down. 80s cars versus 90s cars.
Can we do a video on that?
We did. Yeah. Herbie. Yep. The love bug. New Coke versus New Grape. Where's
Man.
X5? I don't know where X5 is. And, by the way, we just did an episode with Tom Zatot,
Oh, yeah.
who he is the legendary A&R exec that discovered Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue and Tesla and so many bands. He managed so many bands. Such a cool dude. I'm still loving producing X5 podcast episodes. We've got a lot of stuff going on over there. It's pretty excellent.
Oh, man, all that talk of food.
So
has
we
made me
haven't
hungry.
eaten it all, by the way. And
But we get 2 hours. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
pretty respectable.
yeah, this is a cool little pop-up thing too.
Yeah.
So, we've enjoyed our night here with you guys. We're gonna totally go eat something. The last thing we ate was a meat on stick during the Renaissance Fair.
Don my
And,
hood for the outro.
It was a fun, good time, y'all. Let me see here. All right, let me get. Oh yeah. Well, it has been a grand time, Sir Lord
glorious
Hazelrig.
time has been had by all.
Can you be a Sir and a Lord at the same time?
Sir Lord.
Sir Lord Hazelrig. It sounds like I've just been drinking too much.
Maybe you have.
Maybe I have. Well, thank you all.
Yep.
You're awesome.
Thanks for showing up. Thanks for hanging with us while we talk about fantasy films and all that fun stuff.
We got a lot of movies we got to rewatch now.
I know.
We've jogged
Like,
our memories.
really, that whole list.
If anything, the takeaway is just search for the song "The Last Unicorn."
Yeah,
It's a great tune.
that's the takeaway from this. It all comes down to the last unicorn.
Yes.
Okay.
So we love you all.
Yes.
Have an excellent evening,
Yep.
and we'll see you next time.
Later.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.